to say, and nothing you could do. There is no other way when it comes to the truth. Keep moving on, you know you'll make it through. I'm so undone, waiting here for you. Over the hill, flannel covered trees. I wag my tail until the rooftops disappear. Under the sound of stars and fish for dreams that never come, but like the rain, they start to heal. I don't wanna wait, I don't wanna miss you. I don't wanna wait, I don't wanna go. Okay, now hear me when I say I'm leaving winter for the spring. Can't feel the heat now on my skin. And then it stops just long enough to shake my fist into the sun. Get back to doing what I've done. I don't wanna wait, I don't wanna miss you. I don't wanna wait, I don't wanna go. I don't wanna wait, I don't wanna miss you. I don't wanna wait, I don't wanna go. I don't wanna wait, I don't wanna go. No. Wanna wait, wanna wait, wanna wait, wanna wait to get away. But I wait, but I wait, but I wait, but I wait for you. Gotta wait, gotta wait, gotta wait, gotta wait to get away. But I don't wanna wait, I don't wanna go. No. I wake in the morning, get on my feet. Savor the moment, it's bittersweet. I wanna feel the sun. I put my Ray-Bans on, yeah. I'm waiting for someone will never come. Wanna wait, wanna wait, wanna wait, wanna wait to get away. But I wait, but I wait, but I wait, but I wait for you.
just waiting here for you. I just want your presence, you got me feeling blue. Don't keep me waiting, don't leave me in this way. Got me going crazy and I don't wanna wait. I just wanna make you see, I feel like I'm in heaven when you are here with me. Don't keep me waiting, don't leave me in this way. Got me going crazy and I don't wanna wait. I just want your loving, come and give me something. I just want your loving, come and give me something.
I just want your loving.
I just want your loving. I just want your loving, I just want your I'm just waiting here for you. I just want your presence, you got me feeling blue. And don't keep me waiting, don't leave me in this way. Got me going crazy and I don't wanna wait. I just wanna make you see, I feel like I'm in heaven when you are here with me. Don't keep me waiting, don't leave me in this way. Got me going crazy and I don't wanna wait. I just want your loving.
Falcon! Come on!
What's up, man?
No, I would do that, but then I actually can't see the screen at all. It darkens everything so much. You got 3 seconds. All right, we're live.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Generation Orange. I'm your host, Mark Segovia, along with Sean Ringrose. What's up, Sean? How you doing?
What's up, dude?
And it's been a long day today for some reason. So I'm hanging in there, but I'm here. I see that you're here too, so it's all good. We're both here. It's Wednesday night, so a lot of Dynamo news going on this past week and a half. Obviously, 2 matches that happened that didn't really go our way. What do you call their controller?
That's my Scuff controller. That is known as the Rocket League controller for me right there. That's what I use for Rocket League. That's for George and Nestor too. He hadn't actually seen my Scuff yet.
Oh, okay. So I'm guessing the whole Rocket League thing's still going strong.
Yeah, actually, speaking of Rocket League, COVID League is going to start again here fairly soon. There will be a preseason kind of tournament thing that'll happen. Still waiting on official details, but sometime soon. And also, huge shout out to SGL. I know they're looking for some additional teams, and they're getting ready to ramp back up too. So Rocket League about to hit strong, man. And it's going free to play for those that don't know. So if you have never played, now's the time. Free to play on the 23rd next week.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. No, but yeah, man, we had 2 matches this past week. Unfortunately, obviously, we had the Derby with FC Frisco, and the match before that we had against Colorado Rapids up in Colorado. Let's start off with the first match in Colorado. It ended in a 1-1 tie. Obviously, going to the road and getting points is a positive thing, especially on the run that we were on. But the way that game ended, man, it felt like we let some points go, man. Obviously, Colorado tied it up in the last minute of the game, and man, it was that. It was an unfortunate thing. It was a little bit of a hiccup on the defensive side for the Dynamo. But, overall, the game was kind of slow up there, but it's all good. I mean, when you're the visitor, you want the game to be a little bit more at your pace as an away team. And Colorado was trying to be really, really aggressive. They were aggressive in the first half, obviously, which is what is expected for the home side. There was a little bit of a hiccup there in the beginning, but, it's all good. They were able to keep Kamara at bay. Rubio was out there struggling, trying to get that goal because I guess he hadn't scored like in 6 or 7 games in a row or whatever. But obviously the first half started and Christian, did what Christian does. It was Christian who scored that goal, right? I forgot. I don't want to confuse my 2 games here. So, but yeah, man, a 1-1 tie with Colorado. What are your thoughts on it, Sean?
I thought we played really well for 90 minutes or so. I really do. I felt like we had kind of a chokehold on the game for the most part, and it was just one mental error. Interestingly, I've been watching the All or Nothing Tottenham Hotspur. It's on Amazon Prime series, and I really see a lot of resemblances in kind of what they went through and having to overcome some of those losses that they took. And mentally just dealing with it and then remembering, okay, this next match is a brand new match. We got to start fresh. We got to be confident. We got to believe we can win this next match. We can't be worrying about the last match. Last match is done. Move on. I feel like there was a little bit of, to some extent, it felt like a little bit of lapse from that match. Midweek, and then tired legs definitely played a part. 4 matches in a very short span in less than 2 weeks it's grueling, absolutely grueling.
Yeah, man. I mean, obviously, anytime you can get points on the road is a positive thing. Like I said earlier, But just the way the whole thing was going. I mean, obviously we had won 3 games in a row, 10 points in 4 matches, and then to be in the 90th minute in extra time and be that close to a fourth win in a row. And especially because of the outcome that came in the next game, and obviously with the other outcomes from other matches and how those teams, moved up in the standings. Those extra 2 points that we let go, man, would have helped us a lot and to start off in this week in the standings in phase 2, which is this Saturday, man. So, but but before we get to that, I mean, a little disappointing at the end, but like I said, points are points, and it's the early phases of this kind of weird, wacky season that we're in 2020. So, and obviously the Dynamo, I think they're in 6th place in the Western Conference right now as we talk at this moment.
Place.
And I believe 7th place at 14, 15 points, something like that.
I'm looking at the table right now. So we're in 7th place, tied with Portland and Real Salt Lake with 14 points. 5th and 4th, LA, both LA teams have 15 points and they're tied. Minnesota, who we play, has 17 points in 3rd place. So that's a major matchup, obviously.
Yeah, so obviously that would have had us at 16 points above both LA teams. So that would have put us in 3rd, 4th place. So yeah, man. But obviously we're not going to be Monday morning quarterbacking here, and that's what it was, man. So, but overall, great showing for the guys, especially because it was a turnaround team, because it was a bunch of the bench players playing, a lot of players getting opportunities during that match, obviously because they had the Derby coming up after that work. But it's great to see obviously Christian out there scoring goals, because I said in the last match he has to grab the bull by the horns if he wants to keep getting these opportunities to play, because he's getting a lot of that number 9 spot is going to have a lot of competition here pretty soon. And along with Mauro getting back healthy and him doing his thing, Christian needs to go out there and keep showing and proving to Tab that he's the man for that job, and luckily, he did a good job by scoring that goal in the early seconds of the second half, and an assist by Memo Rodriguez there. So it's a good showing from those guys. And we also saw a couple of minutes, from Jose Bezema, which we hadn't seen him for a while. It was good to see him out there on the pitch. Tomasca was out there, and a couple other guys were out there as well. That normally wouldn't get a starting 11 spot to start off with. So it was a good look, man. Zahibo was out there. He was kind of shaky for me. I don't know your opinion about it, Sean, but he looked a little. I don't know. He looked different from when he came on for Vera his debut match. So
he actually injured himself literally in like the first minute he was on the pitch, and he actually was interviewed about it and asked about it. He said I'm a new player. I'm coming in. This is really my first start. I'm not gonna sit there and say, oh, I'm injured, and then whine and cry about it. Say, oh, you can't start me. I get it. I get exactly why he pushed himself to do it, but it was clear he was injured. Tab definitely made the right move taking him off at halftime, but it was one of those things, you just saw it and you're just like, man, is this what we traded for? I mean, granted, we got rid of Tommy Mack for him, so it wasn't like we traded away some superstar player. But it was, of course, Sergio and AJ would of course disagree with me entirely, but it's I think that was absolutely without a doubt not the best he has to show, and he will show us better later in the season as we wind down.
Yeah, for sure, because I mean, it was just a weird thing, because obviously I gave him so much praise in his debut match because he looked amazing out there. He looked really good and in control of that number 6 spot or whatever. So when he got the spot, I was actually a little bit excited. I was actually really excited to see him, kind of just control that area, obviously, and for him to be playing the way he played. Obviously, now the fact that that we know that he was injured, obviously. That's the reason why he played the way he played, because I think he's one of those players that he wanted to take full advantage of the fact that he was getting starting minutes that game, and wanted to go out there and prove to Tab that he's worthy, because it's gonna be very tough for him to unseat the 2 guys in front of him and Vera and Seren right now, especially the way those 2 are playing. Yeah, man. So I'm sure he's a little disappointed in himself, the fact that he got hurt. But I'm sure he'll be out there again. He'll be out there again, man. It's a lot of games coming up real quickly, like you said, especially for Phase 2 starting up. So I'm sure those guys will get another opportunity to showcase their skills and show that they're players that Tab can rely on. So
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, phase 2 comes, back to back to back as well, where it's, basically Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday type of thing again. And it's just this whole run is extremely grueling. Soccer players are used to some of this, but this is just another level. And players getting injured is not a surprise. I mean, you saw it with Sebastian Blanca. This is a player that for 4.5, 5 years, he's had minor injuries for Portland, and now he's got a torn ACL and he's out for the season. I mean, the guy's not coming back this season. He's absolutely an anchor for that team, out wide, and even in the central of the park at times. And he was playing phenomenal. But oh, go ahead.
As a fan, I mean, obviously, I'm kind of happy to see. I mean, as a fan of soccer in general, just to have one day soccer and then blink your eyes and wake up the next day and it's another game.
Yeah, there's not a lot of downtime to have to fill outside of soccer right now. It's crazy how much soccer there is on TV.
Oh man, like this past weekend was just a little bit crazy for me, man, especially with everything going on with soccer and then obviously with football, NFL starting off as well. But
how do you like that 6 a.m. kickoff for Arsenal on Saturday?
Man, dude.
I got that coming up on Sunday with Tottenham, so I don't look. Man.
Speaking of which, my wife, she's like, man, this is why you get up this early, because Saturdays I'm staying in bed as long as I can. For those who don't know, I wake up about 4:30 in the morning every day, Monday through Friday. So when Saturday morning comes along, if you can't get a hold of me by 10 o'clock in the morning, I haven't moved from the spot that I ended up in Friday night. So. But yeah, man, it was crazy weekend. But moving on to the next match, man. Obviously, we had a second match last week, and it was against FC Frisco in the Texas Derby. Unfortunately, that game didn't go the way we wanted to. They played up there in Frisco. 2-1 win by the bad guys up there in the north. The first goal by FC Dallas, man, Ricolto, I forget his name. Incredible goal.
Ricorte.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, incredible goal, man. That dude it was
a banger, man. He scored it, and I literally I took my hat off, I set it on the couch, and I just went, well, it's gonna be that kind of day. Okay, good to know.
Yeah, you couldn't do anything about it, man. That goal was amazing, and then
Defenders were helpless. Goalkeeper was helpless. I mean, people were like, "Oh man, Marco should have had it. He should have at least dove." You know who you are, Sergio, in chat talking about that. I mean, the fact is, the dude had no chance. Even if he dove, his hand would have been off his freaking wrist, dude. He would have broke something.
That's why having players that are not scared to shoot outside the box are so important for squads, especially squads that have trouble with goals. And the Dynamo were a squad like that in the beginning. They weren't scoring the way they've been as of late. But to have players out there who are not scared to take that shot outside the box, it's very important, because you catch goalkeepers off. You catch them off guard. You catch a lot of defenders off guard, and there's a lot of times that it can bounce off of the defender wrong, or it can hit somebody and it can swivel wrong way, and then it goes behind the net, man. And that's what you want, regardless of where you shoot it from or who it bounces off of it. The end result is you want the ball in the back of the net. So, great goal. I'm sure it's going to be goal of the week, maybe even goal of the year. But obviously the Dynamo didn't give up too easily, because Memo came back. I think I forget what I think it was right before halftime. He scored on that free kick. It was an amazing free kick. He scored too. Obviously, it was overshadowed by the first goal, but amazing free kick from Memo is just showing his confidence and the confidence that the team has in him to give him that opportunity to shoot out there, because obviously you have players like Quintero, Mauro, all those guys out there who obviously you would think would have that opportunity to hit that free kick or want that opportunity ahead of him.
Absolutely. And it's a shame too, because Maric had been playing pretty well. He'd been saving some pretty good shots, and I feel like he lost a little bit of confidence with the Colorado goal, and it definitely showed up in the Dallas match, in my opinion. I I think he just was caught looking a couple of times where he probably should have at least moved, and I think he just started guessing instead of just going on instinct, and you just saw it in the match. It was unfortunate. Frisco did play well. They definitely bobbled our attack pretty significantly, pretty constantly, but we had chances. It's just they were, we didn't nail them home when we should have, and that will always come back and bite you.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's just one of those things where, like, I don't know if this be just fatigue. It was the last game of phase one. The last game of the 4 games in 11 days. So but it's a derby. It's one of those games that you have to for. It's your main rival, and nothing against the Dynamo. Like I said, I mean they went out there, they played. It's just like you said, the ball wasn't falling the way it needed to fall, and it didn't go behind in the back of the net, man. And it's one of those things where, unfortunately, it just wasn't the good guys' day, and they took full advantage of it. That second goal, I forgot who scored it.
It was Jata.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He scored it. I mean, obviously, he's a forward that FC Frisco's is hoping can pick up the slack in the scoring department, because that's what they brought him there for. And he's obviously they feel that he's a player with a lot of potential and can score a lot of goals, but he just hasn't. So I mean, hopefully that didn't spark something in him to start scoring goals from here on out. But but we'll see.
In a way, it was kind of in my opinion, it was kind of a lucky goal. He was trying to just get a foot on it to just knock it towards goal, but that kind of a flick of the foot, basically flicking your leg backwards, on the run, your probability on a shot like that is like 20%. So it's pretty damn low, and that's not 20% to score. That's just 20% to even get it on frame. But there was a lapse at the back, and there were some who wanted to pin the blame on Fuenmayor for that, and it was just a combination of, not Fuenmayor. Who was at the back at that point? Was that Cabrera at the back at that point?
Yeah, Cabrera.
Yeah. They wanted to pin it on Cabrera, and it was a combination of outside play that just failed and inside play that just didn't communicate well, and we've seen that a few times. It wasn't just a mental lapse; it was a lack of communication, and Kiki lost the guy coming through, and that was kind of the end result. And to be fair, like I said, I mean, Frisco were kind of putting the pressure on the Dynamo. It wasn't like they were sitting back just waiting, and absorbing pressure like they did here in Houston. They came out with a different game plan for sure, and the Dynamo just didn't have answers. My frustration out of that match was not that we lost. Don't get me wrong, that's a big deal, of course, because it's Frisco and a loss in general. But Morrow played so bad. He was poor. He came out in that game against Colorado, when he subbed on in Colorado, he looked pretty decent. He didn't look terrible. But that game in Frisco, man, I don't know what is up with him right now, but that is not the same Morrow we've seen. I mean, his first touch was abysmal. He's had a bad first touch, but that was abysmal. His ability to get it on frame was just terrible, and if he got a shot, it was not good. He wasn't finding players, out wide. He wasn't, he just wasn't creating opportunities or creating space, and that's his whole job. I mean, it really is, and he's not a hold-up forward, really. He's a forward that wants to run at players, and he just never had the opportunity, and when he did, he just didn't look like the same player. I don't know if he's still dealing a little bit with that injury that he had, the strained thigh or whatever, or what, but he's definitely not the same player he was before, and I hope he can get the form back. I mean, we need him to get that form back, but if I'm Tab, I'm starting Christian in this match against Minnesota without a doubt.
Yeah, I mean, it is his first match starting, back from the injury, whatever. I know he's had a couple of substitution roles the last couple of matches, but it's sometimes it's especially for a center forward, for them to get into that groove, man. They when they're not in it, they're not in it.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he definitely was not in it. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, but once they find that rhythm, they're damn near unstoppable. And hopefully, Mauro, finds his groove and his rhythm, and he starts scoring goals from us, And obviously, you talking about the next match here with Minnesota United this Saturday. Any chance are you attending the game?
I am not. No, I have made the personal decision. I am not going to attend any matches this season, even playoff matches this season.
Cool. Hey, let us know out there in the chat, man. Are you any one of y'all guys attending the matches? You know, I know
Sergio is. I think George might be. I know Sergio is.
Yeah.
I don't think Nestor is.
I know it's a toss up there. I don't know if we lost stream on YouTube. I think it says something by error, but
No, we'll just keep going.
anyway.
Don't worry about it. We'll just keep going.
So, but yeah, I mean, you know, I know some people are kind of 50-50 about the situation, you know, whether or not they're going to go to the stands or not. And I completely understand it. Like, you know, nobody should fault anybody about, you know, whether or not they're passionate fans because they're there or they're not. You know, it's obviously a health, you know, risk and whatever. And, you know, more power to those who go and more power to those who stay, man. You know, it's your personal decision. And, you know, regardless of the fact, we want you out there, whether you're out there personally or you're all at home watching at the game. We want everybody, you know, to be safe first and foremost and rooting for the Dynamo. But yeah, this Saturday coming up, Minnesota United. It feels like we've been playing Minnesota United like
every week for the last 3 weeks. So
interesting. It feels like.
I was just going to say, interesting note about this match. This match is one of those matches where it's actually a 6-point swing in terms of the standings, and here's why. Minnesota currently sit on 17 points with the exact same number of matches played. So we play them on Saturday. We have 14 points. If we come out with a win, that puts us level with them at 17 points, and we will hold the tiebreaker because we will have beaten them twice here at home. The other caveat to that is if they win and we lose, then they will actually move 6 points ahead of us, which is even harder to catch up. So if we can come away with that win on Saturday against Minnesota, and again, we have the players to do it, you know, I that's a huge win because, again, that puts you at least level with Minnesota, who are currently in third. Now, is it going to still be that way at the end of the weekend? Oh, almost guaranteed not. I mean, you look at even from 10th place to first place, that's 7 points is all that separates 10th place from first place. That's less than 3 matches. That's absurd. That's you know, that's more than 3/4. I don't even know what number that is. That's 5/6 of the of the Western Conference are within 7 points of first place. I mean, it's so tight right now, and there's not a whole lot more matches even after this. I mean, 18 total matches, 3 of which were played during MLS's back, 2 of which were played before MLS's back. So you get 13 matches after that. We've already played what, 5 matches since then. You know, so I mean, that's a lot of matches. Is all I'm saying is that we don't have a whole lot of matches left. So this is going to be very tight coming into the final weeks of the season, heading into playoffs. I mean, it would not surprise me if we see a team like Colorado, who's currently in 10th place. If we see them somehow edge their way into 8th or 7th easily. I mean, that's 2 places away for them. It's not even that far, and that's just a win, and they're there, type thing. So. It's just crazy how tight it is in the West, and it's not going to take much for a team to get bumped out that just think they can kind of coast in. It's going to be interesting to watch it end.
No, it is for sure, man. Obviously because of everything that's going on, the matches are a little bit different, man. Obviously the home field advantage isn't really quite there fully because of no fans in the stands at some stadiums. And just because it's just a little bit different, man. Like you said, some teams are able to cope with the games coming at them so quickly, like the Dynamo been able to. So for the last game here that we lost against Dallas, but for the most part, I mean, I think they've been doing good. I think Taz's been doing really well with rotating the players out. Making sure that they get their rest and that making sure that they have enough people coming in. Obviously, like in the last match, we saw Palomino. He was on the bench. He didn't come into the match, but it's just great to see that young guy in there on the bench, knowing that, he's ready to go, because obviously he's one of those players we were so focused on in the beginning because, the hype behind him and everything, because he's a youth player, a young, youthful player that's coming up through the ranks, through the Dynamo, obviously, and then obviously the connection with Tab and the U20s and all that good stuff, and he plays that number 10 role that we've kind of been in search of, and we're hoping that he is our future playmaker, if not present playmaker. If he gets a run of a couple games here in a row. But yeah, man, this Minnesota game is going to be very important. Not like you said, it's a swing game of 6 points, because if they win, they go up 6 points on us, and that's going to be very tough to catch because if they keep winning and keep going on the roll, it's going to make it even harder for us to catch up there. And obviously, we want to get one of those first or second spots, just because I don't think MLS has announced how they're going to do the playoffs yet, whether they're going to do a bubble or if they're going to actually go to the home team's stadium. I guess it just depends on how the pandemic is, how the numbers are looking at that time period. But regardless of the situation, the number 1 or number 2 spot, you want to have that spot so that way you get a little bit of an advantage of if you are playing in your stadiums during that time period, that you get to rest and sleep at home, and be comfortable there and not have to worry about traveling over here and taking those charter flights in the same day, and all that stuff that's involved with that. But yeah, man, the Minnesota United match, I think, obviously because we have so many former Loon players in Christian and Darwin. I think they're always ready to go, and hopefully this time I think they're ready to score on those guys and cause chaos and bracket on those guys, and hopefully we give them the same result that we gave them last time, if not better.
Yeah, so actually they have announced playoff-wise that the higher seeds will host the lower seeds in all the matches. So getting that 1, 2, or even 3 or 4 is absolutely paramount. So you can at least start with a home match. Getting the 1 or 2 is even better because at least if you win the first match, then you're guaranteed a second home match. If you can come in with the first one, then you're obviously guaranteed through at least the conference finals, potentially even the final. So, yeah, I mean, and again, we're talking, 7 points for 10th place to get there, and we're only 6 points out of first. So it's not like we're, that's the crazy thing is as hot as SKC was coming out of MLS's back, and even that kind of first match after MLS's back, they've really cooled off since then, and we've been lighting it up and tearing it up. And if we can just find that form consistently for 2 or 3 more matches, we're going to be right there in that first or second place spot and pushing SKC for home field advantage throughout at least the conference final. I think it's going to be difficult to usurp Columbus who are sitting on 24 points. So they're 8 points ahead. No, 10 points ahead, which is Eastern Conference. It's not insurmountable to catch them, but that's still a significant number of points over there. And even for them, I mean, they're 10th and 11th places. They're at, they're 14 points back and 13 points back. That sounds like a lot, but what's crazy is Atlanta United, as poor as they've been, they're in 11th place, right there in that seed, and first in the Eastern Conference, 1 through 10 make it into the playoffs. The 9 and 7 through 10 play single elimination games. So not single elimination, play-in matches.
Yeah, they have the extra.
Can't even think. Yeah, and what's crazy is even though Columbus have 24 points, they only have one more win over SKC. They've got 4 points on them, but they've got only one extra win over them. So. Again, it's not impossible. I mean, there's still enough matches left. It's just we need to play really well to finish out the season. And and again, we've already played 11 matches of our total of 18, so we only have 7 matches to go. So, that's a total of 21 points. Anything can happen, but you come away with the one on Saturday and start there and win that one, and again, that puts you 12 matches in, and you'll have 17 points out of 12 matches is not a terrible run in MLS considering everything that's taken place and considering how poorly we played to start the season and in MLS is back. So can't complain about that. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and especially when you beat SKC 2 games out of in the 5 games that we played in phase 1, that's a great way to catch up to those guys up in the top, and that right there is the reason why the Dynamo are so close to being on top of in the Western Conference, even though they currently stand in the 7th place spot. I mean,
what's interesting? What's interesting about that too is, let's say it does come down that last week and we are tied at the end of that last week with SKC. We hold the tiebreaker right now. That's impressive, against the top team in the Western Conference. And the fact is, Minnesota United in 3rd place, we hold a tiebreaker over them as well right now too. So, you win this match on Saturday, and you put yourself in a position that if you're fighting for those top 3 or 4 spots, that you put yourself in a position to be able to potentially take it just purely on tiebreaker. So and you can't, look. I don't care how good your team, how bad your team is. If they're going out there and beating consistently the best teams in combination of the league and the conference, then they're doing something right. They're finding something that makes sense, and it's just a matter of tweaking that formula until they can get it to work for the not quite as good teams.
So, prediction time.
What'd you say? What time? Huh? What? Say it again. Prediction time.
Yeah.
Let's do lineups first. Prediction of lineup.
Okay.
So for me, it's pretty simple. It's obviously Marriage and goal. I've got Valentin on the right. I've got Kiki in the center next to Figueroa and next to Lundqvist. I think that's no surprise to anybody there. I've got Vera as the DM. I have Memo, of course, above him, and and next to Memo. I'm gonna have to go Seren over there. They're just that combination of Seren and Vera and Memo has just been deadly. Of course, outside wide, I've got to go with. It's gonna rub some people the wrong way. I got to go with Christian up top right now. It's a former team. We know he wants that goal, so give it to him. Give him that chance at least. And then out wide, of course, you have Quintero on one side, and then of course Lassiter on the other side. I think that's the only lineup that truly makes a lot of sense at this point. Although I could see Tab going with Hansen too. So it's a either or when it comes to Hansen and Lassiter. I think both have shown that they deserve that outside spot on the other side of Quintero.
I'm gonna go a little different from you. I think the back four. I think he's going to give Mayor a start over Figueroa this time around.
Okay.
So I have Lundy, Mayor, Kiki, and Valentin in the back as my back four. I just feel like he obviously he needs to see what Alejandro has to give, and obviously I think he's done really well for the games that he's played. Obviously he had that one little mishap where Colorado obviously scored, at the end of that game. But for the most part, he did really well in that game. He did really well in the other game that he played, where I think he played like 70 minutes or something like that. I can't remember which game it was, off the top of my head. But yeah, that would be my change in the back four. The middle three, man. As much as I would want to see him kind of, play around with that middle three, but that middle three of Memo, Vera, and Seren, man, has just been so good to the Dynamo since the start of the MLS matches, and those guys are just if they're not injured, man, you keep trotting them out there until their legs fall off, man. So
I wouldn't go quite that far.
Yeah. Well, but those guys, man, they deserve the starting 11 spots. There's no issues over here with those three. Those three can start any day of the week. So yeah, those are gonna be my starting three in the midfield. The up three, obviously Quintero. I think he's gonna get the start. Tab, I think Tab needs him. He needs him to get into game shape and get his groove back, for lack of a term. And he wants to see him get back to that top, echelon of MLS strikers. And, obviously we know the whole thing with Christian Ramirez and, against his former team and all that stuff. But I think sometimes, we kind of get too excited about those storylines and headlines, I guess. But I think Tab is going to go with Mato here for the starting 9. And I'm going to go with Hansen, even though I know Lassiter, he did okay for his first starting match with FC Dallas. I don't know, man. I felt like he was a little out of place as the right winger. I don't know. He played good that match, but I don't know. I just felt like he wasn't all in there. I don't know if he wasn't comfortable enough in that position. Because obviously when he scored his 2 goals in his debut match, he came in as a center forward. So, and obviously that's what he knows. That's his primary position at that 9. But obviously you have Model.
Can I get a word in edgewise? No, I'm just kidding. Normally it's the other way around. No, I was going to say, you do bring up a good point. I think the thing to remember with Lassiter is that When we've seen him play his best, it's been with someone who he can overlap and interchange with centrally. When Elise has been on the pitch with him, they've done very well interchanging in and out. And in fact, both of his goals, really the two goals in that first match, came off of interplay between him and Elise, and very good interplay between him and Elise, by the way. I think that, and I kind of hinted at this a little bit. I don't think Maro's that type of player. We've seen it with him a little bit, him and Christian. There are times that they play well together, but I just don't think Maro is as natural a player with the ball at his feet as Christian or as Elise is, which is really weird to say because Elise, in my opinion, is not either. But I think if Elise has that player close to him that he can bounce back and forth with, just the interchange there was it was next level impressive.
And I agree with you on that standpoint about Mauro. That's why I have Hansen starting over Lassiter, because I think Hansen's a better distributor and better passer of the ball from the wing. I mean, obviously we haven't seen Lassiter. We've only seen him for 3 matches, so I mean I can't really say that he's better. But Hansen has been in the system longer, obviously, because of his time here. So that's why I think I'm going to go with him, and I think he's going to help Mauro, not have to worry so much about having to call the ball up top, that he knows that he has somebody on the right hand side. Because obviously Darwin's going to be Darwin. He's free out there. He's going to free range out there in the left, and he's going to create and do whatever he can to score goals and distribute the ball. But on the right hand side, obviously you had such a staple in Elise, but obviously he's not going to be there anymore. I think that I think Tab has full confidence in Hansen to be able to do that and to provide those balls into the box for Mauro. So that's why I went with Hansen over Lassiter.
I think the pairing makes sense, Mauro and Hansen. And I think in my view, and I think really your lineup is kind of similar in that way, in that we pair the two guys that make the most sense together. And then in the intent is, 56th, 70th minute, whatever time that period that is, you bring the other two on, and you bring them on at the same time, and you let them interchange with each other. And you just it's a completely different attack when you're able to do that, because again, the style of attack is very different when you have Mauro and Hansen on together versus Lassiter and Christian. It's just, and even though Christian and Lassiter technically play the same position, the difference is that is Christian has that hold-up play that he can then feed the ball to Lassiter, even just partially out wide. Lassiter can cut in as an overlapping inverted winger cutting inside, and then he can distribute the ball back to Christian for an easy tap-in, or distribute it over to Memo for an easy tap-in, or Quintero for an easy tap-in, or let Quintero run across the field and tap it out to him, whatever the case may be. It's just, again, it's mismatch problems, and part of it is like Iko Para for Minnesota. Is he going to be available? If he's not available for him again, then you know that they're going to be weaker at center back. You know that you're going to be able to run at him a little bit, and that's when we had our most success, is when we were able to run at him and get those breakaways, as opposed to having to slowly build up the play.
Oh yeah, and obviously just going back to piggyback what you're saying, what Tab has to do now is find that combination that's going to work out perfectly, beautifully for the Dynamo. Obviously we've had the whole Albert Elise, Albert Elise, Mauro, and Kyoto last season. Those three were kind of like the main staple. And then this season starting off, it was going to be Darwin, Mauro, and Elise. But now, obviously with Elise being transferred and Mauro coming off injury, and Christian kind of, forcing his way in there because he's scoring goals, obviously, you gotta find the right connection, the right tandem that's gonna work up there, because obviously you still want the offense to be free flowing and to score and to be able to score as many goals as they have been, because when Elise came back, man, Elise was out there distributing and scoring and causing a lot of havoc, obviously because of his speed. We're not expecting anybody to be as fast as Elise, but obviously we still want to be able to have that fear, and to put that fear into the defenders where we're able to distribute from whenever and score from wherever, and make it so difficult for them to know what we have up our sleeve.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. You kind of hinted at something. You mentioned, Elise no longer here. Obviously that's kind of the big news right now, right? Well, there's more, but that's kind of the big news right now. That what was that?
Well, before we get to that,
Oh,
But
okay. You
before we
got
get
more.
to
Go
that,
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. I thought you were
okay,
segueing. You did such a nice smooth segue. I was just gonna roll right into it.
I know sometimes, I forget how good I am. but
That's the best joke I've heard
but
all night.
but I mean, first we got to go with these predictions. These predictions, both
Oh, right.
predictions. We get the lineup.
Right. Oh, I was trying to avoid that one. I don't feel good about my prediction for this one at all.
Oh man, come on.
Man.
First your regular predictions, and then we go bold afterwards.
So I'm gonna go out right now, and I'm gonna say I don't have any sense of how this match is gonna go at all. I'm gonna say that we're looking at, because it's at BBVA. I think we're getting some players fresh because they get a full week off instead of just 3 days off. I think I'm gonna go with a 2-1 Dynamo victory, and I'm still uncertain on that. It's an interesting combination for me, but I think I'm gonna go 2-1 Dynamo as my regular prediction. So what's your regular prediction? Then we'll get to our bold predictions.
I'm gonna say, so I think that the rest is gonna help the guys. I think the fact that they've been able to practice a lot more together and now get Lassiter more involved. Obviously, even though I don't have him in my starting lineup for this match, I think that's gonna help him out a lot. Get more comfortable with the guys. Mauro obviously getting healthier, it's gonna help out a lot as well. I'm gonna go 3-1 Dynamo. I wanted to say 3-0 because I think Marich has been doing that well, and he's been so good on goal where I think he deserves a little bit more recognition. He's been so close to these clean sheets, man, and I just want him to get another one. But I'm gonna go 3-1 Dynamo just to because Minnesota United, they have a good squad out there, and they're capable of a lot of things as well. And let's not forget, I mean, their DP Ringrose, now he has 3 games under his belt. When we last saw him, he just barely got off the plane and just played a couple minutes with us, and even those few little minutes, you can see the type of skill that he has, coming from Boca Juniors, and now that he has 3 matches under his belt, I'm actually kind of excited to see how he's out there distributing the ball and running that offense for Adrian Heath and the Loons. So, but I'm gonna go 3-1 Dynamo. I think Mauro gets him back on track, and I think he scores a brace and then a third goal by. I'm gonna give my boy Saran goal. So 2 from Mauro and 1 for Saran. That's not my bold prediction.
Yeah. That's your regular prediction. I don't even know who our goals are coming from. Bold prediction. I went with this a couple of weeks ago when we were facing Minnesota, and I'm going to do it again. Marich is going to get that first assist of the season. He was so close in that one match too, and I was like, "Oh my God, I called it!" And then we missed, and I was sad. But I think he's that kind of distributor. He can get that ball forward, and we do have guys that can run, not as fast as Elise, of course, but Lassiter does have some speed, and Memo has pace early. We have to catch him early, so if we can do that, I think that that's a good game for us for sure. But I would love to see Marich get that first assist of the season, and the very rare goalkeeper assist would be great.
Yeah, those goalkeeper assists, they're far and far between each other, and it would be really nice to see one from him. My bold prediction, and sometimes you want to go like really bold out there because you see things that you forget that a lot of things can happen in soccer, or football, that you forget because you don't see that often. I guess that's what makes him so bold. Man, I know I said that Mauro would score 2 of the goals and Serena would score the other one in that 3-1 win for me, but I'm gonna have to go against that in my bold prediction. I think I'm hoping the Dynamo. No, I'm gonna say Dynamo. Dynamo player is gonna score Olympia.
You're on. I don't want whatever you're on.
I'm just throwing it out there, man. I think I saw somebody in this past weekend do it in a match, or I don't know. Or I must see really actually especially
You are super breaking up. What'd you say?
no, I said I think that would be super great if it.
Yeah, you're not the only one losing Mark. It's Mark, not us.
That would happen, especially with fans in the stands.
Hey, Mark,
No,
do me a favor. Do me a
for
favor.
that first match, come back in phase 2.
That's what I was about to tell him to do. Disconnect from the Discord and reconnect. Yeah, welcome back. I think you got your issue fixed.
Yeah. Sorry guys, I was, something happened over here on my end. Just sorry right now. When I was talking, this is the bad thing about having these chairs, man. I lean back and I'm not even paying attention to the whole thing over here.
You're good. You're good. You're good. Yeah, no, I mean, I struggle because we've seen the guys that are serving in the ball on corner kicks. I don't see Lundqvist being a guy who's going to get an Olympico. Look, I love Lundy, but it ain't happening. And then Quintero serves it from the other side, and he doesn't have that arc to get it there. Not that I've seen yet. I could be wrong. We could get lucky, but I don't. That's a hell of a bold prediction. I'll say that. That's actually that's bolder in my opinion than my prediction of a goalkeeper assist. So, are you frozen, Mark, again? Yeah, Mark's gone again. So I guess I'm taking over the show. Damn, this is going to be the good subject too. So as he alluded to, and I alluded to earlier, of course, the big news this week is, and over the last couple of days, is that Albert Elise is basically done with the Houston Dynamo, and he is headed to Boa Vista in Portugal. He's going to join up actually with Reggie Cannon from FCD there. That's a really weird, odd couple type of pairing if there ever was one. But rumored, I've seen a couple of different figures for rumored transfer fee. I've seen anywhere from 6 to 8 on a couple of different places to around 1 million per a couple of local sources. I think I've said it before, I'd be content with, and I suspect we'll see somewhere between 4 and 6. I think that's probably the sweet spot, between 4 and 6. But look, if we get 6 to 8, I feel good about that transfer. I mean, sure, you might have been able to get a little bit more last year, but you also got an additional half a year of Elise out of it. So, and it's been he's made his mark. That match with Lassiter when he came in, I mean, it was clear that he made his mark in that match. He made his mark in one of the couple of the other matches too. So it's not like you've not gotten your money's worth, for the 6 months you paid for it. That's for sure. Elise leaving on a transfer to Boa Vista. I'm curious, Mark, to get your thoughts on this. Obviously the big deal is you got to replace him. We'll talk about that in a bit, but that's a big player to lose. That obviously is a huge part of what has made the Dynamo successful. I do that for certain people in chat. They know who they are. Made them successful up until this point, the last couple of years, 3 or 4 seasons. And it's never easy losing a player that, fans really have come to love in a way, and, love-hate, I think, at times, but definitely love. And it's big shoes to fill. And it's clear, the Dynamo have a couple of players that they have kind of pegged to fill those shoes, but how are you feeling about Elise transferring away, and what are your thoughts?
No, I mean, obviously, regardless of how you feel about Elise, I know sometimes we have that love-hate relationship, like you said, about him, especially with his antics sometimes on the pitch and all that stuff. But he's undoubtedly your top 1 or 2 players on this team, bar none. And to obviously lose one of your top 2 players, it's a very big blow for any club, especially for the Dynamo. And, obviously it's Matt Jordan and Tab Ramos and the front office job to find a good replacement for him. But I mean, I'm happy for Elise, to be honest, dude. I mean, this guy, he's done everything he's needed to. I mean, he's been a good Samaritan off the pitch, with all the community work he's done here in Houston and obviously in his native country of Honduras. He's done everything that we've asked for. He scored. He came in, he scored goals, he distributed the ball. He, from all accounts, he's represented the Dynamo really well. Made I think 1 or 2 All-Star teams. And obviously he leads MLS as one of. I think I heard on Glenn's show last night that when opposing coaches come to face the Dynamo, their main guy they're focused on is Albert Elise because of his speed and his quickness and his ability to create. And when you lose a player like that with all those capabilities, it's a big blow to your offense, obviously. And but aside from that, I'm happy to see him go. Boa Vista, for those who don't know, it's a pretty big club in Portugal. Obviously, for those who don't follow the Portuguese league and who don't really know about Portuguese football, they're technically the 4th largest club there. Obviously, everybody knows Porto and Benfica and Sporting CP, but Boa Vista is the 4th most decorated club in Portugal. It's a big margin between 3rd place and 4th place, so that's why a lot of people might not be familiar with Boa Vista. But yeah, I'm happy for him. I think he's going to do really well in that league. Obviously it's a little bit step down off from the top 5 leagues, obviously in Europe, but you see a lot of great players start in the Portuguese league, that go on to do bigger and better things in the top 5 leagues in Europe. Obviously, for all you United fans, you see what Bruno Fernandes is doing right now in Manchester United. Obviously, we all know Cristiano Ronaldo came from Portugal. Bernardo Silva, all those guys. Just a handful of players come from Portugal. They start doing their thing in Portugal and then go on to do bigger and better things in other leagues in Europe. So, and Albert has that pathway, man, because those who don't know, Boa Vista share an owner with French club Lille. In League One, so that's a right there a real easy progress, forward step for him to go and continue his path in years. I for sure will be following him, following his matches in Boa Vista to see how he's doing. Obviously see if he's out there terrorizing the Portuguese defenders out there in Portugal for Boa Vista. And I hope he does really well, man, because I think he just shows that. Anytime you have an MLS player go overseas and do well, it just brings more eyes to the league in itself as far as scouts and stuff like that. And I'm so happy to see the league and especially the Dynamo be involved in the global transfer market with these other clubs and other leagues in the world, because we need more of that. We need to be more sellers and buyers. And we need to be more involved with the world transfer market. So I'm happy for him.
Speaking of the transfer market, actually, and it has nothing to do with the Dynamo, but it's one of those things that caught my attention and caught my eye. So, coming out just literally a little earlier today, this afternoon around 4:00, give or take, it was tweeted out that Barcelona are set to win the race for U.S. fullback Sergino Dest from Ajax. Dest to Barcelona would be. That would be a bit of a statement for any U.S. player to end up on Barca. Yes, Barca are definitely not. Go ahead.
I said that would be massive, obviously, because of the whole thing, against the whole. Let's not kid ourselves. There's a big discussion about American players, playing soccer, but obviously with Pulisic and McKinney and Joe Reyna and all those kids, they're kind of
Josh Sargent. Yeah, and the thing is the kids have been playing really well overseas in their respective leagues for their respective teams. And look, Dest has a uphill climb for sure to win the outside back, even a spot start role with them. They've got plenty of talent outside back there, but hey, that's a huge deal for the U.S. to end up on have any player end up on a club of that level. Look, that's, to me, in my opinion, no offense to any Blues fans that are out there, that is bigger than Pulisic to Chelsea, Dest to Barcelona. In my opinion, it really is genuinely bigger.
Look, man. Chelsea, for all the great that they've done recently. Their history beyond the Roman Abramovich era, he bought the club. It was really not that big, to be frank, in Barcelona, you say Barcelona, everybody knows what you're talking about. It's just that marketing and that stamp of approval in football when you carry that Barcelona name, regardless of how you are affiliated with them. In Barcelona with soccer, you're top notch. But it's a rumor out there. Obviously, they gotta do some selling first. I think the rumor is that they're trying to get rid of Semedo, to get Dest, and it would be Sergi Roberto, obviously being in the starting lineup, and then Dest being the backup. But there's another American kid on Barcelona. I know we're getting off track here a little bit, but before we could go on to the next topic. But there's another kid by the name of Conrad de la Fuente, who plays a little fullback as well. So maybe in the future here we can have two American fullbacks playing for Barcelona. Would that be something to see?
Sergio just said the exact same thing. The timing is amazing. Also, I think you'll appreciate this. I just saw this come across my timeline that it looks like the IOR is top target for Arsenal right now, but they haven't changed their bid yet. The current price tag is set at 60 million euros. So I guess we'll see if that one comes through. I know you're hoping for something like that. I know Tottenham are real close to landing Bale on loan, and it would effectively be like a loan swap, is what I'm understanding for Dele Alli, which would be impressive. But
how do you feel about that?
I'm okay with it. I really am. As long as it's a loan swap. As long as it's a loan swap, I'm okay with it. If it's a transfer, that's a different story.
Because Dele Alli is 23, 24, right?
Yeah, well, but it would be what they're talking about. What they're working on is a loan swap. What that means is it's not a transfer either way. So Bale is still technically would be a Barca player, and Dele would still be a Tottenham player. So Tottenham own his rights. But I mean, one season. Look, I can do without Dele for one season to be fine.
Look, everybody knows me. I'm a Barcelona fan, but obviously you can't hold nothing against the prestige of Madrid, right? And once you put on those Madrid colors, hey man, sometimes it's hard to go back.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I wouldn't argue that fact. For sure. And I'd be okay with selling him if the price was right. I'm not gonna lie. I would be, because I think that they have so much attacking talent. Ali is definitely a once in a generation, not once in a generation, a once in an academy type of player, I guess is a good way to put it. He's a once in an academy era, type of thing. Like what I mean by that is, he's a Palomino, if you will. He's that type of player, a Memo, if you will, where we have had that. How many homegrown players, and Memo's been the one that's succeeded. Yeah. He's that type of player. He's gritty. And he's inconsistent, and that's something that definitely has shown to be true with him. I think he's always going to put in the effort no matter what. He's the type of player that he wants to succeed. He's a competitive as hell player. And I think he'd do well no matter where he goes to. I just think there comes a point that he reaches his ceiling with Tottenham, and I think we are right at the cusp of that happening. And so, yeah, I mean, I do think that there's a point where you have to be willing to sell the player to get the maximum profit, at least, and be willing to move that player on, knowing that, hey, that money can be used in really big, important places. But enough about. Go ahead.
We can come back to that at the end of the show.
I was going to say enough about global soccer. We'll get back to global soccer later. I know we're both amped just to have global soccer to talk about. But you wanted to talk about the poll of the day.
Yeah. So obviously everybody knows every Wednesday we have a show. We know our pregame show. If the Dynamo have match day Wednesday, which
next
Wednesday we're gonna have a pregame show.
Yet again, I love our pregame shows. By the way, they've been a blast.
I love them too. I think it's full of energy because obviously we're all anticipating and hyped for the match that's coming up. So, but before we get to that, whole question of the day today was, obviously we're gonna lose Albert Feliz. So there's a name out there, obviously, that's really more than likely. And it seems like more for sure is moving on to the Dynamo. Mateo Bahimic, an Argentine forward that plays for Institutos and the second division of the Argentine league. due fact, he does hold a Croatian passport, and his grandfather's side, I think, is Croatian. So there's our second Croatian on our squad. But regardless of that, the question was, with Mateo Bahimic almost signed up by the Dynamo, what are your expectations for the young Mateo? And the results were 46 votes. 43% of you guys said that you expect him to score anywhere between 6 to 10 goals. And although up by 39% of you guys saying 1 to 5 goals, and 17% of you guys being real optimistic, saying that he'll score 11 plus goals.
That's
obviously
that's pretty damn optimistic. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey, man, I'll welcome it if it happens. But
I mean, that we got 7 matches left in our regular season, so that's really damn optimistic, is what I'm saying.
I know. But a hat trick here, a hat trick there, and
hey, man, if he comes away with 11 goals, I'm buying a damn jersey with his name on the back.
Oh yeah,
I'm proclaiming him. I'm proclaiming him the chosen one.
Yeah, for sure, man. And it's an exciting time as a Dynamo fan, man, because a lot of things going on with the transfer market, and the thing is, like, prior years, obviously we would have the in-league trades and stuff like that, or go pick up players from Honduras, right? That used to be kind of like the thing for the Dynamo's transfer window. But like, hey, which Honduran we're gonna sign this year, or which MLS player are we trading for this year, or whatever other mechanism the MLS throws out there that we can come grab a MLS player from or whatever. But this season has been way different, man. It's been a lot of noise there for the Dynamo, and I, for one, I welcome it, man. I'm super excited. Obviously, with rumors and transfer and names being thrown out there, obviously some of them are not going to be true, and some of them are going to be just whatever and this and that. But I don't care, man. It brings a level of interest to the club. On Twitter, I mean, obviously, all you do is see all the fans excited about, Mateo coming in, or whoever else, or last year before that, and all that good stuff. And it's good to see, the interaction between fans and social media. And I hope the Dynamo do see this as well, because, I mean, I think it's one of those things where not just the Dynamo, but MLS in general, they seem to be real secretive with these rumors and stuff like that, and being linked with these players, unless it's like some big name player like Higuain with Miami. Obviously, you can't really hide that from the media or whatever. But when it comes to like all these other players and stuff like that, or who's dipping in South America, like, I mean, obviously for a lot of you guys don't know, Copa Libertadores is going on right now. If the Dynamo don't have a scout or two over there looking at those games right now as we speak in those Copa Libertadores, and I don't know what they're doing, obviously, in that scouting department, because those games right now, those are prime games to be scouting young South American talent, and obviously we all know the financial disaster that's going on in soccer in South America, because of a lot of clubs are just, because of the whole COVID thing, are in dire need of cash, and they're willing to sell top-notch talent for a little bit, for, I don't want to say nickels on the dollar, but for maybe about 60, 75 cents on the dollar, which is a great deal for MLS teams, and especially for a Dynamo team that doesn't spend nowhere near the amount as our other peers do. But yeah, man, I'm excited. I think I was being, semi-optimistic. I put 6 to 10 goals. Obviously, if he does come in, let's say if he comes in this week, he doesn't play this game, so he would have 6 games. So, I mean, well, who knows? I mean, just put a little excitement on it. I mean, if he does score 6 to 10, that'd be a fantastic start to his Dynamo career, But obviously, I think the more realistic choice would be 1 to 5, depending on if he comes in and gets a start, or if he's going to come off the bench, or how long does it take him to get acclimated to the squad and to tactics and to the formation and all that good stuff. So what's your thoughts, Sean?
I'm kind of torn. I know he's a talented young player, but of course the big thing is that he really hasn't. His last match. When was his last match? That's what I was trying to pull up. Was back in March. That's not a player that's coming in and starting, or even subbing on really for anything other than 5 minutes for 3 to 4 matches at minimum. So you're looking at a player that he might get the last 3 or 4 matches of the season, maybe. It's likely he probably sees a couple of sub opportunities, but again, he's not a match fit player. So you've got training time that he's going to have to go through, and it's a player that I would love to see him tear it up in the playoffs if we can make it to the playoffs. God willing, we will, for sure. But definitely a player that is not ready to start, in my opinion, and has nothing to do with his talent or nothing to do with his capability, and everything to do with the fact he hadn't played since March. That's a long layoff.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, yeah, obviously the fitness level and to be match ready is 2 totally different things. You can look good in practice, but if you're not ready for matches, you're not going to get the time out there to go out there and do what you need to do. So, I mean, obviously, hopefully, the strength and conditioning team can get him up to par quickly as possible. I mean, I think he should be announced here pretty soon in the next couple of days, from my understanding. Obviously, and we'll see, man. I mean, I'm excited to see what happens with him, and obviously, he's a young prospect. I mean, he's 21, so I mean, he's right there on that, still young, and depending on what they're going to pay him, I'm not sure where he's going to qualify. If he's going to come in as a young DP or maybe a high-level TAM player. I'm thinking more the latter than the former, but we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I guess those talks between the agents and Matt Jordan, and we'll see what happens in that aspect. But as long as he comes in and leads orange and scores goals, I don't care what they pay this guy.
Absolutely, and it should be noted, Dynamo are said to be putting in an offer. It's at 1.2 million. With 20% of his buy on 20% sell on fee, which is market value for him. I feel like what his going market value according to Transfer Market is about 1.175 million. He's been as high as about 2 million. So 1.2 and then with 20% sell on, I think that's fair. And that's a player that without a doubt you can definitely develop him. He's only 21 years old, as you noted. He's Argentinian descent. I can pronounce it, I promise. And then he's also got a Croatian blood running through them veins, so he's a tough tumble kind of guy. And he's a right-footed forward. But it's his current contract only runs through 2022, so that's that's 2 years you're going to have him for before you have to figure out what you're going to do with him contract-wise. So there's that to keep in mind as well.
No, I think they're signing him for 4 years.
Well, there you go. There you go.
Yeah. They're once he signed his 4-year contract with the Dynamo, I think you're looking at his contract currently with Instituto. But
so as a note, going back to something real quick, per Diaro Diaz, that reported sell fee for a lease is expected to be in the 6 to 8 million range.
Yeah,
we've talked about that, but if that is the case, then hats off to Matt Jordan. That's a hell of a deal.
You know what? We have, if that's the case, we have to applaud Matt Jordan. I know we've been a little bit, I know we've been a little skeptical on Matt Jordan's behalf because of not being able to make the playoffs, 5 of the last 6 seasons and all that stuff, and this is all happened underneath his watch. He has to be responsible for the what happens on the pitch. But
here's something interesting. Okay. So Elise leaves. We have money now, finally, right? So Mahamic is not going to take up all the money we have. It has been announced. Yedlin looks ready to leave Newcastle before the end of the transfer window. Let me ask you a question, Mark.
Well, before we get to that, I saw that.
Come on, no.
Actually, I wanted to get something before we got.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, wait.
No, so like I was saying before, obviously he's coming in. Mateo, we're talking about Mateo Bahamic right now.
Yeah, of course.
He's coming in for 1.2 million euros or whatever. So it's about 1.4, 1.5, somewhere in that range, $1 million. With a 20% sell-on fee for his current club. We were having a little chat with somebody on Twitter, and I kind of just want to go over the sell-on clause and stuff like that, and how that stuff works, because it's actually something that happens quite commonly in world football and the transfers, stuff like that. And it's a great question to ask, man. And it's one of the things that I do enjoy about, when we all this news out there and let them know what's going on and have these details about these contracts or have details about these players' wages or different things. And, if for all you guys, if you have a question out there, shoot it out to us at Gen Orange Radio or myself at Segovia or at Sean Ringrose. But yeah, so, for those who don't know, obviously the 20% that stays with the club, that's going to be on that's going to be available to that club institute that we're talking about here. If Bahamic gets transferred again during the time period that he signed with the Dynamo, which is this 4 years. So let's say, for example, he does really well in MLS in 2 years, and then somebody, let's say a European club, one of the English clubs that wanted to sign him, get promoted to the Premier League, and they've scouted him, obviously, during his time in Argentina. They've seen his progress in MLS, and now they're ready to sign him because they've been promoted to Championship or Premier League in this case or whatever. And they want to give the Dynamo $10 million transfer fee for him in the future. So what in that case, percent of it would go back to his parent club, which is Instituto, the club that sold it to us, and then 80% would go to Dynamo. We're not going to worry about all the mechanisms with MLS or whatever at this moment, but just to make it simple. So 80% of that $10 million would go to us, which would be $8 million, and then $2 million would go back to Instituto as part of the deal to sign him currently. A lot of teams do that because obviously when it's a player of youth and young age and a high ceiling, a lot of clubs like to throw that sell-on fee in there because in this case, Institutos is a club, they're in the second division of Argentine football. So obviously we're telling you that a lot of South American clubs in the first division are struggling with cash. You can only imagine what's going on with second division clubs. So, obviously they're cash strapped and they want to sell him, but they know that this kid has high potential and has a high ceiling. So obviously they want to have a sell-on fee because they want to be able to get some money for him in the future if he does get transferred, because they feel so highly in his skills that they know he probably will be transferred again within the 4 years that the Dynamo have him. So, obviously that's a good piece of business, and obviously if it works for the Dynamo, because if they don't, the club could say, hey, well, you know what? If you're not willing to give us a sell-on fee, then we'll sell him for you at the value that we feel he's valued at right now, and that could be anywhere between 2 million euros to 2.5 million euros, whatever. So basically just take 10% off the 1.2, and add it onto there right now, around 2 million euros or whatever. So and actually.
Let me build on that real quick. I'm gonna throw something out there, a figure that most people don't realize. Their entire club, their entire team, is valued at under $6 million. So a $2 million get. Let's even reduce that down. Let's say we only sell him for $5 million in 3 years. Let's just say that, he comes well enough. We sell him for $5 million. That's $1 million to them. That's a sixth of their entire budget. On players. That's. That's 3-4 players, for their entire team. That's a lot of money for a club that their entire salary budget is just $6 million. So it's a very common mechanism, as you noted, and I just wanted to throw that out there how that kind of works. And you did well to kind of curb any questions earlier on Twitter for sure, because we had those coming in. But the important thing is, no, you can't trade that percent of sell-on fee. That's not it's not a figure you can just hey, I'm going to throw in 20% of Dele Alli's future transfer fee, type thing. It doesn't work like that.
Oh, obviously on the flip side, well, what happens if he doesn't get transferred and his contract runs out and he becomes a free agent and signs anywhere? So nobody gets anything. So obviously the 20% just, it's done with the contract, whatever, and that's that. So, but hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully he does bring a lot of proudness to the Dynamo and MLS, to the point where European clubs are still sniffing around and want him later on in his playing career, to the point where they offer us a nice transfer fee. And that's another reason why a lot of people were, especially myself, once European clubs started sniffing around for Mauro and for Albert, where hey man, these guys, because they started sniffing those guys out at 22, 23 years old, and there were already established players in MLS in the league, which is a league on the come up, which is getting a lot of respect. So even though we're happy with what Matt Jordan was able to get with Albert Feliz, being 6 to 8 million in transfer fee, imagine, if you would have sold him last year for 10 million, right? But you add a little 10% sell-on fee because he's going to do that, and if the club wants him bad enough, they're going to do it, and Albert goes on in Portugal and lights it up, and then he gets a nice $40 million transfer fee to Tottenham. Guess where 4 million of that 40 million is coming to.
Yeah.
And $4 million to the Dynamo, that's a nice chunk of change. Nice chunk of change. But obviously that's not the way it played out. But we're happy with what happened. But that's basically the kind of in and outs of the sell-on fee or sell-on clause, however you want to call it. And for those of you who play FIFA and Football Manager, obviously y'all know what the deal is with that. Y'all throw it on there for the transfers that y'all do on those video games and stuff like that of that nature. And
I'm in Football Manager, baby, all the time. What's that? You're not going to take my 6 million bid? All right, cool. I'm gonna put 5% sell-on fee, and you're gonna take it now, right? And they're like, oh yeah, that sounds great. I didn't know you were gonna do that. Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, and you'd be surprised how many clubs, big global clubs, they won't do business unless they get a buyback clause or a sell-on clause. It's just because that's the way they do business. They know what kind of talent they get. They're selling on, but it's unfortunately maybe at that time in their club's history they don't have a position to play that player. So I mean, you can't just hoard them, and not play them. So I mean, you got to sell them on. That's just good business, good recruitment on the academy side, and obviously all the people involved in training that player up and progressing that player, and garnishing their skill level and making them valuable at that point. But yeah, man. But anyways, moving on from that.
What were we talking about that we were going to roll to after that? I don't even remember.
So, obviously, with the excitement of Mateo, for sure coming in now with the Dynamo. After that, the Dash came back to play. They had a little game, their first game back in their new season. Is there a name to the new season? I didn't even see if there's a new name for this.
I don't remember what they call it. They got some name for it. I don't remember it's not a cup competition. I don't remember what they call it.
It's a regular season. Well, it's a season, not a tournament type of deal. Like they did
but there's no playoffs after it, right? So it absolutely has zero bearing on anything.
And that's why. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, and the important thing is it's basically groups of 3 teams playing each other, and that's it. That's all there is. So it's just warm-up matches. Yeah. It's just to keep players fresh that haven't gone overseas.
I think it's one of those things because obviously there's a lot of international matches coming up, and a lot of these women play for their respective countries. Obviously we saw Daly get transferred over to West Ham because she's obviously an English player who plays for the English national team, and with the whole quarantine thing, she needed to be playing somewhere closer. Otherwise, she would lose her spot because she wouldn't be able to participate because she's in America and she plays for England. So
I'm going to throw something out there. I don't think that's the only reason, and I know it's not the only reason. We're seeing a lot of the best players in NWSL right now getting signed to contracts overseas, especially in England specifically. England is using the opportunity to bolster the FAWSL, which is good for the FAWSL. It helps increase the notoriety of the league and helps them improve on bringing in additional players. But number 2 behind that is, again, these 3 matches have no bearing on anything, right? And Daly knows that. So the other side of that is she can go play against the best in the world over there in England right now. And the second part of that, which is really important, is that it allows younger players here in the Dash to get opportunities that they wouldn't have gotten if Daly had stayed here. So it's actually Daly creating an opportunity for another player. And look, we know how good Veronica Latsko is. There's no doubt about how good she is. There's no doubt about how good Nichelle Prince is or Shea Groom. And those players are going to feature. But there are some young players that are going to get opportunities in these 3 matches coming up over the next few weeks or next couple of months that they're going to be able to show something. And if they show something, that could be a contract for them, at the end of the season. And it's just, again, it's another one of those little things that just because of the way things have kind of worked out, and she wants to get game matches in, and more than just 3. This is the entire FAWSL season she's going to be over there for. That's a much better opportunity for her to keep that match fitness up and keep her energy levels up and those sorts of things. And Daly's a competitor, and I can't think of a better team, honestly, than West Ham's women's team for her. But along the same lines, I just want to throw it out there because this is important. Alex Morgan to Tottenham Hotspur's women's team. Let's go.
So I want to throw this out there too, since we're on the topic of that. So obviously the Dash played their first game, and dude, I saw I think the first half, and they scored. They were still running the ball out there. They were still scoring. The unfortunately they lost 3-4 against North Carolina, but still a high scoring match without their top player in Daly. Obviously because she's in West Ham now.
Match to watch. It was a fun match to watch too, because like you said, it's the style that they play now. It is high press, high intensity. We're not backing down from anybody, and I love it. It's the greatest thing to watch. It really, really is.
Yeah, and it's that style where, look, if one player is out because of whatever reason, that obviously this case being Daly because she's in London, you plug in the next player and they fit in that formation like a glove, and they keep going. It's a nonstop thing, man. You just plug in. Obviously you want to make sure you still have quality players to plug in while you're doing this, but it just goes to show that this team is still on a high because of the Challenge Cup when they just had a couple months ago, and they're still out there willing to prove, even though these matches technically really don't mean anything, they still want to go out there and show that, hey, they're not to be messed with, and it wasn't a fluke and this and that, because obviously I know the Dash history hasn't been real fruitful up to recently, and out there to show that, man, that this is going to be a new beginning for the Dash, and history is going to be written pretty soon for this organization, and I'm happy to see it, man. And I'm glad for those women out there. They're going to be doing their thing, and hopefully they showcase their skills even more often. And just to throw a little bit of salt out there, obviously Rachel Daly does play for West Ham, so I did catch her game against Arsenal women, and it didn't go really well for them.
No,
it didn't really go really well for Rachel Daly in West Ham.
No. It's still early days over there. They're still building things, man. Still building things. Real quick though, I want to throw this out there. I didn't put this in the show notes, and I frankly had not realized today was this day, but a huge happy birthday to Webb Tilton. I know he's not watching right now. He will actually watch us back on later at some point, I'm sure. But happy birthday, Webb. One of the OGs, Dynamo fans for sure, Dynamo supporters. Guy has been to just about every match you could imagine. The guy's been all over the world following the Dynamo, and absolutely a dedicated supporter. So happy birthday, Webb. Kudos to you, sir, and hopefully you're enjoying it.
Happy birthday, Webb, man. I guess we call him the triple OG. I mean, he's riding
triple
around.
OG.
Yeah, he's riding around that orange mobile, man, just everywhere, man. So just out there repping the Dynamo as hard as possible, man, and that's great to see, man. I mean, obviously he's been there from day one, and for him to continue his support and be so enamored with his team, it just shows what kind of possibilities are out there for the Dynamo as far as fans go, and I think he's a prime example of what can happen when you bring a culture of winning to the city of Houston, especially in soccer, and obviously we had a culture of winning, the first 10 seasons that we were here, just been kind of lackluster the last couple of years, but man, if we start another run with Tab and start, knocking down a couple of years of winning matches, I'm sure we're going to get a lot more Webbs out there in the stands. Maybe not as highly profiled as him, but for sure out there supporting the Dynamo.
Yeah, they're guys, and they know who they are that travel, and they're not even watching right now, so I don't even know why I'm giving them a shout out. But there are guys that used to travel from Corpus Christi for 3 years, basically straight for every home match from Corpus Christi back to Houston. Sometimes turning around midweek matches, turning right around and driving back out to Corpus Christi that same night or that early the next morning, as the case may be, without any sleep, and heading right into work at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. He's gonna regret that he's not watching this show. I'm just gonna throw it out there right now. There are those dedicated level of fans, man. They are the diehards through and through. They absolutely bleed orange. Webb is definitely one of them. And there's others out there that are that way. I know Mark and I met one of them who wears the full body orange suit to games. And you remember that guy, dude? That guy was. I want to say it was Darren. Darren is a trip. He's amazing. I'm glad we got to meet him. Really wish we had gotten more opportunity to chat with him, but he's a special dude, and it's those types of fans, man, that absolutely you tip your hat to, and you're proud to call yourself a fan of the same club that they're a fan of, because they're just that kind of, and his whole thing was he just wanted to get other people around him into the games, and that's all I'm talking about, man. That's all it is.
I mean, like, during those 713 promotions, I mean, my whole thing was like, hey, man, $7 ticket, man, I can buy another $7 ticket and bring somebody who hasn't been, let them see the live atmosphere and all that stuff. So, I mean, that's a great thing to hear about from Darren's standpoint. But before we continue, another shout out, actually, and I think Nestor would appreciate this as well, but Feliz Dia de Independencia for all the Central American countries out there, Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala, Nicaragua, all that stuff, Costa Rica. Also Mexico as well. Theirs comes the day after ours. But yeah, happy Independence Day to all those guys, and obviously we have a lot of those countries represented on Dynamo squad currently and formerly. And man, it just shows what great diversity the city has to have all those countries represented in our club, and especially to be, it's kind of like one of those things where they're looking for that promotion. Like, they want to bring in players that can connect directly to the city, and the city's so diverse that they have, I think there's like, at last I counted, like 11 countries represented on the Dynamo, which for MLS squad that doesn't really spend so much, it doesn't have all the mechanisms to go out there and bring in global players. They sure do have a lot of global players on the team right now currently. So happy Independence Day to all those countries out there.
Absolutely. I'm glad to see the diversity, and not just on the Dynamo end, but the Dash as well. The countries that are represented across both organizations, and also extending that even to the academy. It's good to see. I hope that diversity remains, and continues to be Houston is absolutely a melting pot in the U.S. and it should continue to remain that way for many years to come. I hope our academy can represent that and continue representing that, and the same thing with our club. I mean, it's great to see, and I'm proud of the diversity that our clubs, both our club portrays and puts out there on a regular basis. I think it's good for everything, really.
So, Sean, I think we've been having a little bit of issues. I know on my end, especially with my video and stuff like that, connection, and with YouTube. I think that's why it's got a little bit quiet out there. And we got 30 minutes to spare. I mean, if I guess we can go back to that global talk we were talking about earlier, or do you have anything else you want to throw out there before we call it a day?
I was gonna say, with all the YouTube issues tonight, maybe we just ended a little early. And we just kind of call it here. Obviously, we could dive back into some of the ownership and rebranding talk from last week. We had kind of touched on it a little bit. Didn't really get it. We kind of ran against the time because we had a hard stop last week for sure, and we will next week as well. But I think those are topics that are not going to go away in 2 weeks. They're not going to be topics that go away even by the end of the season. So I think we're fine to hold that for now. And just a quick shout out to the two players that the Dash signed earlier today to short-term deals. Congrats to both of you. I don't have the names in front of me, but again, young players that are going to get an opportunity potentially to make a statement on the field and potentially earn a spot long-term. And some of that comes from Rachel Daly not being here in the U.S. and playing for the Dash, and instead playing overseas with West Ham United right now. And again, that's an opportunity for her to take a team that is struggling and turn it around and help them turn it around. And if she does, her level of of stardom, if you will, in terms of women's football, just skyrockets because people will recognize that, and she will have earned herself that team leader title, which we've already dubbed her that anyways, but adding even more to it, if you will.
Yeah, and the two players you mentioned were, again, shout out to Jackie Jones and Shayna Ashawi.
Congrats to both of you, and definitely looking forward to getting to watch you guys, even if it's just practice or whatever. Hoping you guys get an opportunity on the field for sure. So good stuff for sure. But I mean, I don't know about you, but I think this is probably a pretty good spot to kind of call it and be on our merry way for the week. And guys, if you're watching syndicated because you know what, this was a rough show just because of YouTube issues, then hey, we get it. But do us a favor, make sure you like the video, share the video, and then of course subscribe to the channel. We are at 71 subscribers. We are so close. It's 29 subscribers away. I mean, we are trickling our way there, don't get me wrong, but we are edging ever closer there. And I am looking forward to that day we hit that 100 mark. We get that custom URL. And trust me, it's going to go a long way to helping us increase that subscriber count even more. But again, shout out to you guys that hung out and chat with us for a little bit. We appreciate you guys each and every week, and we'll be back next week pre-match again. I need to look and see what time that match starts. I think it's a 7:00 kickoff, isn't it?
I'm not sure. I haven't looked that far ahead of man.
I know home matches tend to be 7:00 kickoff, so I'm pretty sure it's a 7:00 kickoff next week. I'm looking right now just because it's important because we got to share that time. The 23rd. Oh, 6:30 kickoff technically. Oh, that's an earlier kickoff. So, no, that's not it.
That's not it. You probably look at Eastern Standard Time or something like that.
No. Actually, that's right. No, it is 6:30 at Chicago. 6:30 on the 23rd.
No. Oh, next for Wednesday. Okay, I'm looking at Saturday.
Why? Yeah, not Saturday. No, I'm talking pre-match show, man. Pre-match show. Next week. Next week Wednesday.
We'll figure it out.
We may have to make that a post-match show, since that's an earlier night for a game. Maybe we'll do a post-match show instead. But we'll figure it out. We'll tweet out about it, and we'll let you know one way or the other what we decide. I mean, pre-match means we got to start at like 5:30, and you struggled to get on at 6:30 so, on a normal week. So 5:30 is really pushing it for you.
We'll figure it out. But yeah, like always, we'll pass on the information on Twitter at Gen Orange Radio, or I'm sure that I'll retweet and like it, and Sean will retweet it and like it on his, at Sean Ringrose at Segovia. But yeah, guys, thank you for following us, and having the time to join us today. I know, like Sean said earlier, we've been having a little bit of issues with YouTube and then on my end with the video, but yeah, man, like always, man, hold it down.
Hold it down. Thank y'all again for joining us. Have a good week.